Hi everybody, I'm here to remind you of how to add and subtract decimals. So our goal today is to remember, and maybe we'll add a little new information, how to add and subtract decimals. And I put a list up here of the methods or the steps that I like to follow. First of all, when you get a horizontal problem of any kind, you got to recopy it vertically. So here are my decimals, 3 and 107 thousandths plus 1 and 9 tenths. And I need to recopy that vertically. And when I do that, I want to line up my decimal points. So we usually line things up on the right-hand side of the problem, but now we are lining up with the decimal points. And that makes sometimes some blank spaces. So the next thing on my list is fill in zeros. So these places with blank spaces, they need zeros. The reason they need zeros is it helps us remember that we are adding and subtracting and that we can't just automatically bring everything down digit-wise. So then step 3, bring down your decimal point. So once you know that the decimal points are lined up, in adding and subtracting, the decimal point just comes down in that same place into your answer. And then finally, you add or subtract like normal. So I look at my sign, this one is adding, and so I add. 0 plus 7 is 0, 0 plus 0 is 0. No, 0 plus 7 is 7, 0 plus 0 is 0, and 9 plus 1 is 10. So in this case, I put the ones digits down below, but I carry the tens place. And then I have 1 plus 1 plus 3, and that makes 5. So my answer is 5 and 7 thousandths. And then I like to do this little extra thing where I look at it and I say, well, this is pretty much 3. And then if I were to estimate this number, it's pretty much 2. So then I would have an answer that is close to or right around 5, and I do. So that looks good to me. Now let's take a look at a subtraction problem. The same thing. You get a horizontal problem, you recopy it vertically. And then I lined up my decimal points here. And I'm going to make my sign so it's subtraction so I can remember to subtract, because sometimes when I have just done an addition problem, then I do another addition problem instead of looking at the sign. So the ones on your practice today are mixed up and you're going to want to check for that. So now I've lined up my my decimals, and I have a blank space, and this time I have a blank space on top, and it's especially important in subtraction problems when there's a blank space on top to put a 0, because otherwise you can forget you're subtracting, and in those situations you're going to have to borrow. So I've filled in my 0. It's there. Now my next step is bring down the decimal point. So I do that. And then I can add or subtract like normal. So I'm going to subtract. And the first 2 digits I'm dealing with are 0 and 3. And I cannot take 3 away from 0 because 0 means there's nothing there. So I'm going to borrow. And now I have 10 take away 3, and that's 7. And the biggest chance of making a mistake in this problem would have been right there. I could have accidentally not put my 0 in, brought the 3 down, and then gotten a completely different answer. Okay, then I cannot take 7 away from 2, so I'm going to have to borrow again. I have a feeling in these practice problems there's going to be lots of opportunities to borrow and carry, because it's a good time to refresh those skills. You know them, you've learned them, but it's always good to sort of go through those motions again and refresh them in your mind. So now we have 12, take away 7, that's 5. 7, take away 5, that's 2. 9, take away 5, that's 4. And this answer is 42 and 57 hundredths. But I'm going to do that same kind of estimating on the side to make sure I'm right, because I was talking about things in the middle of my problem and I might have made a mistake. We know that I do that. So I'm going to say 98 and 3/10 is close to 98, and that's really close to 100, right? And 55 45 and 73 hundredths is really sort of like 56. And I could either add 98 and 56, or I could add 160, and I would get this one will be closer to my answer, and this one will be a little further away, but they're probably going to both be in the right ballpark. So here I have, oh, and I'm adding, and see, there's my mistake there. Let's subtract. So this one would be 40, and this one would be 42. So the answer should be around 40 or 42. And it looks like I am right there at 42 and 57 hundredths. Okay, so today's practice is going to be a page that has 12 more problems, just like these. And I'd like you to do those, recopying them vertically so that you can line up your decimal points properly and get those zeros in. And then there's an exit ticket, and I'd like you to do the exit ticket also. And then compare notes with me. I will put the answers to the exit tickets. I'll just make an answer key packet that you can check when you get finished with things. So that will be in the answer key packet. Okay, good luck with everything. And keep in mind that I will meet with you sometime this week. And so if there's things that are really confusing to you, you're going to have chances to ask real questions in real life. I will see you soon. Thanks.